So that's why.
It's 6:30, and I'm calling the Zoning and Annexation Committee meeting to order. Present, we have myself, the chair, Tom Simmelink,
Present.
Dan Lanzer, and alternate Mike Walker. So we called the meeting tonight to consider zoning change notifications, and thank you. I had questions for Mr. Fate, so I'm glad to see him. So the reason for this is that, as you know, the city is currently undergoing a zoning code audit, and zoning codes for the entire city will be changed. And I would like to mention that Wendy Mueller of Compass Point Planning is doing an excellent job, I believe. I've been in those meetings, and she's done an excellent job. So, currently, any change in zoning requires all properties within 200 feet of a proposed zoning change be notified in writing. And in this case, if we keep that, everybody in the city would have to get written notice, which could be done through the water bills, but it's pretty onerous. So, the law director has suggested making changes to this. That's the proposed ordinance 19/2024. And we'll notify the public. The administration plans to notify the public in other ways of this massive project. I have some of the copies here. So in the new rule, it says written notice shall not be required where application involves more than 10 individual lots. That's in the new. So my question, I have some questions for you, Marvin.
Okay.
Okay, I understand all of this. I've got that. And why we want to do this now ahead of, because this is coming down the pike.
Correct.
But my question is this. In the past, I've been involved in some rezoning changes of a large area that did encompass more than 10 adjacent properties. So how would that affect that?
There wouldn't be a requirement for anything over 10, and this was something that was suggested by Wendy Mueller.
Right.
She actually gave me suggested legislation. This is also in keeping with what other cities do in this vein. But if the committee wishes to extend that to more than 20 lots, we can do that.
Well, my question was on this piece of legislation that you proposed, could we amend it somehow to be very specific to zoning changes that encompass the whole city or this project, or?
You can do whatever you want. This is what my recommendation is, and it was based on the recommendation of Wendy Mueller, and it's in keeping with what other cities do. But if the committee wishes to change it, or council wishes to change it, then that can be done.
Because when we finally adopt the new code, it will be changed. But, okay, I guess because I've been involved in these situations before, they've been pretty contentious.
Mm-hmm.
My point of view is that people that are affected need to know about zoning changes. And many times they do encompass more than 10 adjacent, or 10 individual lots that are adjacent. Would that prohibit us from letting them know via writing?
No, you could let them know if you wanted You just wouldn't be mandated to do it. But you could certainly do that. You could request that as a member of the committee, as a member of council, that those in the affected area be notified. There's nothing that would prohibit you from doing that.
So a committee chair could still say, hey, I need this done.
Yeah, you could request the clerk to do it, and it's within your rights as a council person, certainly as the chairman of the, chairperson of the zoning committee, that could be done.
So,
It just wouldn't be mandated. That doesn't prohibit you from doing it.
okay, yeah, so we'd have other ways to let people know. I noticed that it says in the new proposed code that there would be a published notice,
Correct.
a minimum of 30 days ahead of time, and written is 14 days.
Yep.
Okay, so that, I mean, I was concerned about that.
Sure.
I'm like, so is everybody on the committee had a chance to read the legislation?
And my question is, how do you let people know what's in this? This is gonna be pretty comprehensive.
I
And
think,
there are gonna be a lot of people with opinions, I think, if they know, right? So how do you let the public know?
I'm gonna let, the mayor answer that question. I've heard in some of the meetings, but
How do you let the public know about what?
the massive change we're gonna have.
There's gonna be, yeah, there'll be public meetings announced where people can come in, see the revisions and give input. But this legislation's got nothing to do with that.
But this legislation, what we're doing is we're taking action instead of, and which I think is a good idea.
So we wouldn't have to send a
Rather than
written
mailing to
notice.
everybody, but what are we gonna do instead? To
Instead of
let the
what?
public know.
Instead of what, Tom?
Instead of
Mr.
mailing a copy of this thing, I think that's where it stands now. If we
Mailing
don't
a
do this-
notice of the public meetings to everybody.
Yeah, it'll be published on the city's website and social media. Press releases can be put out.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do it that way. And public notices, I mean, anytime council committee has a meeting, you know, that's public knowledge too.
Yeah.
I mean, the clerk, and you can tell the clerk at any time, we also want to include, you know, this people or this media in the release.
And would you put it also on the new web scraper thing? I forget the name of it.
Yodel?
Yodel.
Yeah, it could be put on the Yodel, the community calendar, sure.
That's a good idea.
The other question I had, Marvin, since this is a change to the zoning code, wouldn't we have to have a public hearing on this?
No, because we're not rezoning something. You're only required to have a public hearing.
We're
if you
just
are
changing the
rezoning.
code.
We're changing the notification with regards to our codified ordinance.
So, sorry, I'm asking all the questions. She doesn't expect this to be done until, what, August? Because we're meeting again on it next week and.
Yeah, I would say, by the end of July, we should have the completed, first draft. And then that'll be put out for public opinion. We'll have the public meetings. It'll be, you know, council will have an opportunity to review it and, make revisions as you see fit. And then, we'll have the legislation draft to enact it.
And
So that'll probably be in August. I would
okay,
say
and will
August,
that come
September.
back through this committee?
It could, yeah.
So, we don't have to pass this on emergency. We can read it
This?
3 times.
Oh,
This.
no, yeah, you can read it 3
We got
times.
time.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
there's no, sense of urgency on this.
Dan, questions?
I mean, everything looks on the up and up of what we're trying to do here and stuff. Again, I was just kinda got my answer to my questions again, because I didn't get this notice again until, I mean, I know technically it's legal to send notices out within 72 hours for committee meetings, not for council. And when we got the legislation on time, on the Friday and stuff, but again, why are we getting less than 2 days, or little over 2 days away from council, or from committee meetings notices?
Actually, it's 12 hours on committee.
Yeah, I know that, but, you know,
I
that's
know.
not
I
really
think that's
decor.
too
I don't-
short,
I don't-
but that's
I
what
don't,
it is.
agree with the decor of it. I think we need more time, more, especially with three, and I keep going back to this, but we have 3 new council members, and this is all brand new to them. You know, like, we're not getting any time to settle into this and stuff. I'm thankful, because I would not be happy if we were trying to pass this on emergency. I just was wondering.
I think, Marvin, you sent this
It
out last
came out.
Thursday?
I sent us out last.
Yeah, we
Thursday.
got the legislation for it, I'm not saying that, but we didn't
Right.
get a meeting notice till, you know.
Tuesday.
That
Well,
was my
it
fault.
It was Saturday morning, was it, or no,
No,
not
for
Saturday morning,
this
but
one.
Tuesday morning.
Yeah, Tuesday.
My days are all out with
Yeah.
the holiday this week and stuff, but, yeah. Okay. No,
That
I-
would have to be my fault because meetings are called when the chair calls them.
yeah.
Okay. Any questions from anybody else?
I would
Go
just,
on.
oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I
go
would
ahead.
just, I don't know if everybody, I think Cheryl was at the meeting. I know it was like 2.5 hours and it got recorded. I would encourage anybody on council that hasn't watched the last meeting or wasn't able to attend to watch it, because this is explained in that meeting pretty well, on why she wanted to do that. So if you haven't had an opportunity to do that, I know it's long, but, especially if you're driving, cause I put it on and listened to it while I was driving, it's worth to watch, cause it's it's the best one we've had and the most informational
Mhm.
on it. So I would encourage you to do that if you haven't had a chance to do that. So, it is posted on the website. It wasn't the other day when I emailed Jamie, and she got it posted, but it's on there now, so.
Oh,
Just a comment to kind of ease your mind a little bit, Tom, that like whenever, because we've run into this over the years, we've had the Pace St. Car property over there, that affected a lot of properties, more than 10.
Oh, yeah, and they're still mad.
And, but being the way this is written and the way Marvin set it up is, you know, when something like that happens, we're gonna notify people. Somebody on this council is we're gonna wanna know, that whole neighborhood to know what's going on and stuff, so. I mean, there's nothing stopping us from doing it. It's just open it up so that way we don't have to send a, you know,
I understand that.
yeah.
Which we could do with the water bills, cause you can put
Excuse me?
blurbs on there, right? It's maybe you missed a part where I said that was onerous to do.
Could, not should.
It's a heavy burden.
It is.
So I agree with Dan here. My take is that as chair of the zoning committee, I want neighborhoods to know what's happening. And I feel that anybody that's affected, that they're gonna get a written notice. Dawn?
I just think we need to be consistent. We got to 10, and you're sitting here saying, well, maybe this area here will set something in writing, and maybe another area you're not gonna contact. And I just think we need to be consistent in what we do, if we're gonna notify people or not. So I think the 10 is a good number.
Okay, here's the new proposed.
I've seen.
Oh, you were at the last
Yes.
meeting. I saw you. So you don't think this is consistent?
I do, I said, we've got it in writing, but you were saying, well, maybe we should do certain areas where we should notify people. I just think we need to be consistent, if it's 10 or 20, just so it's the same for everybody. So somebody can't go back and say, well, you notified this area, but you didn't notify my area when we had a change. So I just think we wanna be consistent in what we do. Whatever that number is.
I just wonder if you can have a number and mandate a number because of situations I've been involved in for rezoning.
But
Depends on the largeness of the area to be rezoned.
But we got an expert person that's coming there, work for Wendy. I mean, she does this for a living, so I'm thinking, you know, we have to put some credence in what she's trying to tell us.
Yeah, well, he was talking about, this is mandated, but you can go beyond a mandate, right?
Yeah, you can act in your own discretion.
Yeah, the reason that, and Chris is right, if anybody has a chance just to watch it, this is what happens when she goes in to do a complete zoning change. So that it's not mailed out to 7,785 homeowners. That's all this is. Whatever happens to someone on Church Street next week, and you gotta do a rezoning, the body can do what they want and who they wanna get notices of a change. This is just to simplify that process for the complete ordinance change within them chapters. And that's all this has to do with. Again, if you've got something that encompasses 20 lots, you gotta send it out to 100 people, by all means, send it out to 100 people, let them all know. But this is just to get this letters, you know, to get that moving so that we don't have the task of 7,785 homeowners, so. That's all this has to do with. Again, moving forward, if you have a significant change in zoning, by all means, let everybody know if that's, I mean, I tend to agree with you on that, Cheryl, because there is some that won't covet. So I do agree, like when we did down High Street, you did all of High Street, so there's 40 houses. So there's 40, that you almost have to do, you're gonna go 80, so just look at this alone as just for this particular piece. After that, you can still let everybody notified. This is just so that we don't have to notify 7,785 people. We're gonna let them know with public meetings, get everybody here to planning commission. Maybe we'll have a council nights. I'm not sure the way Wendy wants to do it yet. I'm sure we'll have a couple on planning commission nights and probably one during a council night, but that's all this truly is. And I agree with you, Cheryl. If we do something that's affecting 60 houses, we better notify everybody around that there's, 120 houses. We should. But again, just look at this piece of legislation only for that thing and that thing alone. I think it's getting skewed off a way that's not the true meaning of what this ordinance is, truly. That's all I got.
Anybody else have questions, comments, concerns? You okay, Don?
I'm okay.
Okay, so Marvin answered my question about that. Okay, so we understand this is gonna be read 3 times. Okay, so, we're looking at ordinance 19/2024 with no changes. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
To,
What's the motion?
what's a motion? Yeah, thank you.
I'm giving you what you wanted. No, I move we pass what this is, the first reading.
Put it on the agenda.
First reading. Put it on the agenda for the first reading.
I'll second that.
Okay, now I take a vote. Tom,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Any other matter to come before the committee? Motion to adjourn, somebody?
So moved.
What time's your meeting, Steve? 7?
I would like to call this meeting of the New Philadelphia City Finance Committee to order. I see our members in attendance are Mr. Kreinbill, Mr. Lanzer, and our alternate, Mrs. Ramos, all in attendance. Thank you for being here tonight. We are here tonight to discuss Resolution 8, 2024, which would authorize the mayor and the service director to enter into a loan agreement with First Federal Community Bank for the purposes of purchasing a new 2024 VACall street sweeper. And I understand we do not need to push this through on first reading. We just want to decide whether we're willing to put it on the agenda for a first reading tonight. So at this time, I have spoken to Auditor Gundy. I asked if there was any way we could purchase this just out of the budget, if there was money to be done, to save finance charges and so forth. And she said no, for us to purchase this, financing was the route we needed to go. So with that, I am going to open it up. First, I would ask Mr. McAbeer, I assume that the payments for this are what we saved in the 203, 4100, 5200 expenses in this year's budget appropriations.
Yeah, it should have.
$65,000 that was in there was in anticipation of making loan
Well,
payments, correct?
originally, she had it in, 219, 5200.
Okay,
And then, I was looking for the last sheet, and I don't see it, so I apologize for that. But, that was the original, when,
Okay.
the temporaries were first passed. What she did after that.
okay, and I may be looking at the wrong line item, because I remember us discussing this on one of your line items.
Yeah.
And I thought it was that one, but I may actually have I did not ask her
Okay.
which line item it was, but we did appropriate
Yep,
for
and-
this,
yep, and it-
for a loan payment for this.
We did.
Okay.
We did, and when we first started talking about this, there would've been, Chairman Ricklick, and we had it all in, and then what started to happen, naturally with the budget, the tight, budget that we had, we worked down to, the first loan payment was gonna be, we budgeted 58,000, I remember that. And like you see, if you look at the loan, it's 57,854. One thing I'd like to add, with that is the, sweeper now that we have is, 16 years old. So, to pay for it over those 7 years, we'll have 9 years of, naturally no payment. Which is, hopefully at that time, I'm hoping that we can, okay, let's start putting 40,000, 50,000 back a year, and if things get better. But just wanted everybody to know the fact that it's not something we're turning around and getting right back in a payment, and having that payment every year. This is something, again, this is 16 years old, so we should have 9 years there of saying, okay, let's put some stuff back, and try to make that purchase, and things getting better at that time.
And I noticed there is no penalty for early payment, so if we're in a
Right.
position to make larger payments, we can appropriate for that.
Right, and I know, we've did other ones, in the past, and Beth has done that. We've talked it, and started to say, hey, could you, and she's like, yes, because, I think it was, twofold on her end, understanding the finances as far as, what we finance and what that, it costs us, but also it makes it easier on her, that's what she'll tell you. So, I mean, she's told me that before, over these last 8+ years, says, you know what, instead of me doing this, she said, I'll just pay it. So,
It's just-
she's done that, and like I say, it's, there's two reasons for it. Naturally, the finance charges, can I say I'm a
Yeah.
fan of it? No, but
No.
we all have them, I get it. In the car that I have now or whatever, and so, but, we need it. It has, probably in the last 2 years, I think I had that, what did it cost us? I wish I would've brought that tonight, but I brought it at the original, when we was going through temporaries with, Chairman Ricklick. But it is starting to bleed us a little bit.
Nickel and dimes.
Yeah, it's nickel and diming us, so, for the fact that we can get one now, naturally, and nothing better than getting it right here local, off of Gradle. So, it was pushed back a little bit from the work stoppage, but we will be able to take, ownership of it in August.
Okay. And we need this legislation more or less so you can get a PO.
Correct.
to-
Yeah, they had asked if we would get them a PO so they can keep the ball rolling on their end. So
Okay.
I said, I can do that. It takes legislation, so give me some time, and, because they want to make that final push to get us across the finish line and take ownership.
Mhm.
And I can say that, and I've been here a long time, and it's used more now. General Service Superintendent Rule, that goes out pretty much daily, that it can. Actually, if it's raining, we don't. And then he tracks everything, so that if someone on just a street says, hey, you haven't seen that street? Hang on, he pulls it up, he got a spreadsheet. No, actually, we was there May 16th. So everything is tracked, and again, you'll see that out daily. It's worked more in the last 7 years than I've seen it work before. So it's crucial. And you can see the difference of what it's doing now for what it was when it was brand new. And actually, the blowers and the suction on them, it just diminishes over time.
Right.
So it's not doing as good of a job as a brand new one. So that we're in need of it. And again, that 9-year window that afterwards is crucial then. And maybe with this piece, it even goes 10 years maybe. But just knowing that it's not going to be we're not going to recur that every 7 years to come back and say, hey, by the way, we're going to this loan again. No, they'll last. They last us. And one of the benefits of living where we can't do it in the winter. You know what I mean? It's not 12 months a year, so we do have that benefit, where it wouldn't actually turn around
It's
quicker.
not hard to get parts if you need them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's right there. So, again, I think it's a worthwhile purchase for us.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna open the floor to
Oh,
the
yeah,
the
I'm
committee and to council members for questions, because I see the clock on the wall starting to move.
Yep, I apologize. Probably went too long.
That's okay. Yes, sir. Mr.
Yeah,
Lund.
just a quick one for you, Ron. Is there any chance, I mean, two parts, are we gonna be able to sell it, the old one?
Actually, it's going in on trade for them. That's what they
Okay,
get.
and
for
then
it.
how much, do you know how much?
They thought they was right around the $25,000 range.
Okay,
Then
so
that-
about a half a year's payment,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And they're not, it's not.
Yeah,
That's
well, I
a
know, I've
gift.
seen it in action.
That's a
lately.
gift.
That's a scrap cost.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, Mr. Walker.
Does it have a warranty? Is there any kind of warranty on that thing?
You know what? That is a great question. Can I get back to you on that? I'm sure there is.
Yeah,
But I don't know that right now, but I will email everybody back that. I will
I
email
didn't know what
everybody.
they ran on there.
Yeah, you know what? That is a great question. I apologize for not knowing, but I will make sure that I email that back to everybody.
Other, yes, Ms. Ramos.
So you mentioned the old one will be used as a trade-in. So this price that we have in front of us is including that, or that's, you know what I mean, that's the cost,
That's the cost, yes.
considering the trade-in.
And I gotta be honest with you, we may not trade it in, so we're still kicking around, so just stay with this right here. I guess everybody just stay with this right here. That's still in talks. So let's talk with this payment and just keep these payments in mind, what's that dated, and if we get something out of it, we'll let Beth put the money where she would be maybe she puts it right back on there, but that'd be her decision. So let's just stay with this, just in case that. I don't wanna muddy the waters with anything other than this piece of legislation right here.
But it could be $25,000.
It could be,
Yeah.
go back in
It could-
somewhere, it could be,
Right.
yeah,
So it
One
can
more
only get
thing.
yeah.
Just to note then, with that price on the loan, the interest is going to be $70,276.86 on the purchase. That'll cost that much for the loan.
I had 74,000.
Well, I added up an amortization schedule that was sent to me by the banker.
Well, that's good, hers was less than yours, Ron.
Right? Shouldn't have said a word, huh?
By the time we're done, Ron's gonna have it for free.
I'm working on it.
You may have had the old rate, cause went from the one you got in January, February. Cause it was a lower rate now.
What do we have it at? What's your legislation have?
Legislation.
499, you
Yeah, I
had
got-
5.25.
No, I got it
originally.
499 on this one.
Well, I just didn't know if you did on your amortization
Yep.
schedule.
Oh, you know what? I didn't. You might be right. Okay.
Added the old one,
Yep.
yeah.
I was
Other
just-
questions?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. I was pretty adamant when we talked about police cars not getting loans, that we need every single year. So when we have equipment like this, obviously, you know, you're gonna have fire trucks and stuff you're not buying every year. I'm a little bit more okay with getting financing, but, then, you know, I know everybody heard me speak on the police cars. Like, I'm not okay with financing stuff we need every single year. But something we can do every 15, 20 years, you know, that's a little bit different. But hopefully, like Ron said, after the 7 years, you can start to plan and know we're gonna need another one, and we can set some money aside for that.
Plan on
Right.
budgeting that payment toward,
Yeah.
set aside.
Yep.
That's what I'd love to do, believe me.
Ron, when you cut the deal on this, did you work through, their backhaul distributor? Did you work through Sourcewell? Did you work through, how did you work this deal?
Mayor and I went straight to Mr. Popovich, and that's why we was able to get, this is actually over $400,000 piece of equipment. They did have to smooth some things over naturally with whoever, Southeastern or whoever, I can't remember who it was. So don't
Southeastern,
Quote me
I
who
think
that
is
was,
their
but I believe that's right. And said, hey, okay, you gotta understand this, they're here in Philly, we're in Philly. I think they still had to say, you know, whatever,
It's
here's
their
$5,000, whatever, but here. But that's, we didn't go through, we went straight to Mr.
Well,
Popovich and that gang.
I think that's great you did that. It sounds like you got a good deal,
Yeah.
representing the taxpayer,
Yeah.
represented a local company, local employees here.
Yeah.
I think all in all, you did a good job.
Yeah, well, thank you. Like I said, that was, the mayor and I both went down and met with their entire team, so, you know, I guess with saying that, if we'd have went to Sourcewell or Southeastern where we first started looking, the $400,000 we are paying would have been what we would have paid if we just went with them, but we took the route to go and see Mr. Popovich and the gang, and they worked out a great deal for us.
You took the difficult route, but you made it work.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, well, thank
So
you.
it's a wash.
Any other discussion, because we are closing in on our 7:15 time limit for the next committee meeting,
Oh, yeah.
and
Don't cut in on them.
don't want to cut in on them. I only paid for 15 minutes, so. So at this time, I would entertain a motion, if there is one, to put this on tonight's agenda for the first reading.
I move that we add Resolution 8 to tonight's agenda for first reading.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cranville. I have a motion and a second. We'll call the roll. Mr. Lancer?
Yes.
Mr. Cranville?
I have to recuse myself from the vote.
Okay, but I am going to vote yes, so we will move this forward tonight and put it on the agenda for first reading. Any other business to come before the committee tonight? Hearing none, we will yield back the minute and 20 seconds we have left and entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Okay, we will adjourn at 7:13 PM. Thank you for your time, guys.
We call together the Safety, Health, and Service Committee. Mike Walker is here. Mitch is not. And Chris is the alternate. So what we have proposed to us is ordinance number 18204, which our law director suggested. We currently have an ordinance which does not allow people to ride bicycles within about a block of the square, all around the square, on the sidewalks. Our auditor, or our law director, says he's responding to requests of council members or people or whatever, and thinks we need to expand that ordinance into bicycles, skateboards, low-speed micromobility devices, more devices off the sidewalks. Anything you want to say to elaborate on that?
This was something that was requested by the administration. I'd probably like to defer to the mayor. I think there's concerns that he's heard from downtown business owners, and that was the impetus behind this.
I couldn't hear you the last part of your sentence.
I said I wanted to defer to this was something that was brought to my attention by the administration, because I think that he has heard from people in the downtown business area that have concerns about this. And that's where it came from.
Is that right, Mr. Mayor?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Ron, nudge him, wake him up. This ordinance is a result of your input?
From downtown people's concerns.
I can speak to
Bikes.
that.
Well, actually, came out of conversations with the safety director about some complaints that we've gotten from, downtown merchants, people who are walking downtown, and also some, reports that the safety director, read about, near misses and an occasional collision with a pedestrian downtown. Go ahead.
Over the, probably over the last month, I've had the opportunity to witness one of these powered scooters go right down, come down West High Avenue on the north side of the sidewalk, and just flying, and basically going and looking at the ordinance that pertain to no bicycles within the one block of the square. I couldn't find anything that said anything about
Other vehicles?
a scooter. I mean, there were other things, skateboards and those kind of things, but not this. So it went to Marvin, and Marvin drafted this, and it should take care of that. And we are in the process. We're trying to determine on how to actually, it used to be posted years ago, but even since then, there's probably 20 more signs hanging within the square than there used to be. And I don't know if I'm, to just hang, 8 more signs. I don't think that's the answer. And we've been kind of beaten back and forth, maybe to stencil the sidewalk, showing the restriction. But once again, we'll have to do, along with the bike path and everything. And of course, now we have the scooter rental. And and once again, and actually witnessed it several different times within the last month, is it just, we needed to start with this, and we'll just go forward with putting out the word and letting information on, because it's been a law for a long time that it's been on the books.
That's what I was just gonna say, Mr. Chairman.
For bicycles?
Yeah,
I think
For
that,
bicycles,
I
right.
think what you're looking at is change, and no one's looked out for, something different than what we have now. Just bicycle was it, probably back when that legislation, was written. Now you have so many other things that needs to be, we need to adapt to changing times.
So do we know that this encompasses everything that we need
Yeah,
to
right.
look for? Like, I know we're at scooters and
I think Marvin had the magic word in there.
Yeah, the micro mobility.
Micro-mobility device.
Electric bike.
It's defined both in our code, which I referenced that section in there, and that is taken directly from the Ohio Revised Code, so
Okay.
it's pretty encompassing.
Okay.
Micro-mobility device. I think you invented that word.
And I
I never heard of it till-
I think that
till
piece
this.
of, like what, Safe Direct Comments talking about, you know, they're picking them scooters up right here on the corner.
Yeah.
So where are they going? Right downtown. So we gotta watch that, you know what I mean? I think it's a great thing, it's an awesome thing. You see all the municipalities have them, but, yeah, you could really, you know, those can get up even some speed, so.
Yep.
I think it's just trying to adapt to the times.
Yeah, sure.
Now, okay, I understand not riding on the sidewalk, but would then now put these devices into the street?
No, you can push it on the sidewalk, you can't ride it.
Right, but I mean, then would they be able to ride in the street? Because bicycles can ride in
Yeah.
the street now.
Yes,
So, my second question is, like we do at the park, we have, you know, certain things aren't allowed there. In the downtown square, could you just say, for the protection of pedestrians, motorists, and the riders, just say in the downtown square, these devices are not permitted? You'd have to walk them.
Well, I can answer some of that. If we remember that, we have the Kent State Connector Trail that's gonna kick off here probably in August at the latest. And, if we remember the way that's drawn up is, it comes up to Second Street and it goes out into the roadway because of that. You got sharrows, coming each way to mimic exactly what's on East High coming in there now. So, I mean, that's my take on what we have on the board right now.
Well, the downtown square, though, they could get off
Yeah,
and
they-
walk it. I'm just talking
I
about.
think he already
during-
went over that.
Yeah.
He already went over the walking part. I'm
yeah,
just
you
saying,
can
I'm saying,
walk,
we're putting
Instead
them
of
that way now.
Putting them in the street, because bikes and all that can ride in the street.
Right,
So
if you-
could the scooters,
if you would choose to be on the sidewalk, you can.
You'd have to walk it.
You have to walk it.
You walk.
so my concern is riding it in the street.
You can ride in the street right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you
And-
can
and
right
that's-
now, but if we're looking at the safety of the pedestrians and the rider, and motorists, just in that square, just say, none of that, you have to walk it on the sidewalk. Because the lady, when she was here, was telling us about her scooter business, she said she could geo-fence areas where they're not allowed.
Right, but there's a whole bunch of the.
And I know there's other people that have them, they're
Yeah.
riding by on my street.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about the low speed part.
No, because they can, I mean, from what I understand, it's close to 30 miles an hour, some of those.
Yes.
Of course, you get a youngster on there that only weighs 90 pounds, and, I mean, that thing it just flies. But,
I'm
No,
just
this-
thinking of the congestion in the downtown
I would.
of all these devices.
I would urge not to entertain anything like that with the Kent State Connector Trail starting here in the next few months. We want to visit it and take that up at some point, but I don't think you want to do anything in that part. If you're interested in doing it in another part, but I don't want to put a change order on that bid that's, ready, that job's ready to go.
no, once again, you
And
can
they can do it
operate
now.
bicycles now,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
on the
just many
streets, and,
Yeah.
you know, as long as they're following
And-
the,
Just in a
Traffic
specific
rules.
Yeah,
area.
and
They
if
can-
you
they're
were,
not
if
allowed
you
riding
ride
in
a
the
scooter
front.
and you wanna ride it through the downtown area, good luck.
But we're trying to get people to come
Yeah,
downtown.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, this addresses the sidewalk area.
yeah.
And I
We
think
don't
that's a
want
step we
somebody
need to
that-
take now.
that
If
comes out of
there's
a building.
something in the
Yeah,
future we
exactly.
need to do, then we can address it at that time. But I think we're envisioning things that aren't occurring right now.
So how are we restricting this? Because, you know, I've seen, I mean, we're not allowed having bikes downtown, but I see bikes riding downtown all the time.
once again,
Inside.
years.
Yeah, on the
year-
sidewalk.
Years ago, there were signs all the way around. Those signs have disappeared with revitalization of the downtown, and they were just never replaced. But now that all this is going on, and once again, we're going to revitalize the downtown once again, and we have now scooters that are on the, within, touching the 100 block of South Broadway. And once again, and me just, a couple times I was leaving council meeting, and once again, they were back and forth on the 100 block of West High Avenue on the sidewalk.
We just saw it last Friday. There's these e-bikes that look like dirt bikes. I mean, these things,
They move.
Yeah.
You can move.
and
Yeah.
they driving up and down.
Yeah, and
Went
once,
by us while we were at Mustard,
You know
probably 2 or
what,
3
Chris,
times.
maybe, and Greg, maybe that, when we get those, the arches, maybe on each side of those, something there. Because Greg's exactly right. I think we lost those whenever we did the light upgrades and went to the fluted and everything. Those used to be on the old metal green poles. I remember, because I was in traffic department time. Once those left, that sign never got back put up, so that was years ago. And it's just, but I'm thinking maybe that's something we put with those arches on each side.
Well, I think we look at other communities and see
Right.
how they've done it.
Right.
You're gonna make a motion.
But go ahead, I'm sorry. I just
No, that's,
thrown that out there.
well, I think we can do, and then there's decisions to be made further about how to notify, what signs, and,
right, that's
As the
to
downtown
come.
evolves,
yeah,
yep.
have somebody out there with
We
a
just
whip on the
needed
street or
to,
whatever.
we just needed
Defining what's covered.
to upgrade the laws also.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So we need a
I'll make a
motion.
motion to add ordinance 18, 2024 tonight's agenda for first reading.
And I'll second it.
All right. In favor? All in
Yes.
favor? That's great.
Thank you.
That's it, we're adjourning at 7:27.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Like his parliament.
One of
So
these-
moved.
That's great. Julie, you pick one.
Okay.
Chris did.
I like that. That's great.
What's that?
That's great.
Good evening. This meeting of New Philadelphia City Council will now come to order. Would you please rise and remain standing for the invocation and pledge of allegiance? Mr. Rippeth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would you join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you for being a God of love who is here with us in this very room tonight, Lord. I thank you for these servants who are here tonight, our administrators, our mayor, our department heads, city employees, and these council members who you put in place. We all come to this room tonight carrying the burden of hope and joy and the trust of those that we serve here tonight. Father, we remember the words of the Apostle Paul, who says that those in authority are first and foremost responsible to you as your servants. And in honoring you and doing your will, we're doing our highest purpose. Father, I pray that you would be glorified tonight through the discussions and the decisions that occur here, and that you would be with us in everything that we do for the benefit of this city. May we act for the common good and for your glory and your honor. In the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, and welcome everybody to our council meeting here on May the 27th. A little bit out of order. Instead of a Monday, we're meeting on a Thursday, but we'll start with roll call.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Here.
Mr. Lanzer.
Present.
Mr. Pace. Mrs. Ramos.
Here.
Mr. Ribbit.
Present.
Mr. Simmelink.
Present?
Mr. Walker.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. Has everybody had a chance to review the agenda? Do we have any additions to the agenda tonight?
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Rippeth.
I would move that we add resolution, I believe it's resolution, right? 8/2024 to tonight's agenda for first reading.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Long, thank you. In discussion by administration, council, roll call.
Mr. Ribbit.
Yes.
Mr. Lanzer.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
I have to recuse myself.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Simmelink.
Yes?
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
All right. Do we have other additions to tonight's agenda?
Yeah,
Yes, Mr. Ramos.
Thank you. I would like to add ordinance 19/2024 to tonight's agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Walker. Any discussion by administration, council, roll call.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mr. Lanzer.
Yes.
Mr. Ribbit.
Yes.
Mr. Simmelink.
Yes?
All right, ordinance 19/2024. Any other additions? Mr. Simmelink?
I'd like to add ordinance 18/2024 to tonight's agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cranfield. In discussion by administration, council, roll call.
Mr. Simmelink.
Yes?
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mr. Lanzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Ribbit.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
All right. Ordinance 18/2024 has been added to the agenda. Any other additions? Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve the agenda tonight.
So moved.
I thank you, Mr. Simmelink. Need a second?
So,
All right, thank you, Mr. Walker. In discussion by administration, council, roll call.
Mr. Simmelink.
Yes?
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mr. Lanzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Ribbit.
Yes.
All right, agenda has been approved. Everybody's had a chance to review the minutes from our last council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. President.
All right, Mr. Rippert, thank you.
Second.
Mr. Ramos, thank you. In discussion by administration, council, roll call.
Mr. Ribbit.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mr. Lanzer.
Yes.
Mr. Simmelink.
I have to abstain, I wasn't here.
Mr. Walker.
Abstain.
All right, minutes have been approved. Correspondence, Ms. Courtwright.
To President Kemp from Law Director Fate dated May 23rd, 2024. This is an email titled, "Please assign to Mrs. Ramos's committee with proposed ordinance 19/2024. To Council and Administration from Mayor Day dated May 23rd, 2024. This is an email titled, "Letter Appointing Heather Denham as Acting City Auditor, May 23rd, 2024. To council clerk from Hallie Saffern at ohio.gov, dated May 30th, 2024. This is a notice of a hearing on June 21st, 2024 at 1:00 p.m. regarding New Philadelphia City Council's objection to transfer ownership of the C1 liquor permit from Herv Petroleum LLC located at 1219 East High Avenue, New Philadelphia to Sarai Petroleum LLC. I forwarded this notice to all of council and administration. And to council and administration from Mayor Day dated May 30th, 2024. This is the mayor's report. And that concludes correspondence for this evening, Mr. President.
Right, thank you, Ms. Courtwright. Move on to our administrative reports. Mayor Day.
Thank you, Mr. President, council members, fellow administrators, and guests. A few things I want to touch on from the report I sent you earlier today. As you read, the summer season at Tuscarora Park is off to a great start. Had some great crowds over the Memorial Day weekend. And the rain canceled the new historical marker dedication ceremony and the recognition of the donors who purchased the mini Ferris wheel kiddie ride that's at Tuscarora Park now. And those have been rescheduled for this coming Sunday, June 2nd at 6:30 p.m. And I encourage all council members and guests to attend. Meanwhile, RTY is awaiting the delivery of the new train it purchased for Tuscarora Park and for the installation of a new drive shaft to get the Ferris wheel up and running again. Both those projects should be completed before the rides close in September. RTY's Greg Reese provided the photo below that I included, and will be, for you folks at home, this will be on the city's Facebook page tomorrow. But that's an amazing color scheme for the engine, so really excited about that. Speaking of the Ohio History Connection historical marker that is going to be erected or has been installed at the park, that was all due to the data gathering and fundraising efforts of New Philadelphia Rotarian Sam Hitchcock. And the Rotary Club received that marker, which designates Tuscarora Park as a historically significant site here in New Philadelphia. So the club invites you to that dedication ceremony, which is again this coming Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's been installed in an area across from the park office building. Monday, June 3rd will be the final day in office for City Auditor Beth Gundy. She's retiring after serving the city for over 28 years. On behalf of the citizens of New Philadelphia, I wish her much health and happiness in her retirement years. As permitted by Ohio Revised Code Section 733.13, I have appointed Heather Denham to be the interim city auditor. She currently serves in the auditor's office as the executive assistant. A new city auditor will be appointed by the New Philadelphia members of the Tuscarawas County Republican Party Central Committee within the next couple of weeks. We scheduled that meeting late this afternoon for June 13th at 6 p.m. at GOP headquarters on State Route 39. The application deadline for that position is actually tomorrow, by the way. Mr. President, I would like to have an executive session at the conclusion of tonight's meeting to discuss a personnel issue that could affect the General Services Department. And also, I'd like to give the remainder of my time to Jim Nisley, and he's going to give us an update on the NP Act organization and some things that it's working on. So, Jim?
Jim, before you come up, let's take an action for a need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Need a second? Mr. Simlick, thank you.
Hold on 1 second. All right.
Let's turn the video
Mr.
projector on.
Lanzer, Mr. Similink. All right.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Lanzer.
Yes.
Mr. Similink.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Ribbit.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Okay, Jim, you're on. Thank you.
Oh.
Hold on, Jim.
I started to
All right.
flash, so it should be coming on.
No? Yep, there it is.
You guys go,
Yep.
it's lighting up.
Hold on.
All right, hi, I'm Jim Nisley, here tonight to talk about a new organization that we've created in this past couple of years called NPACT. It was in the fall of 2021, the former members of the MPBCA board voted to dissolve the MPBCA, and that was the New Philadelphia Business and Community Association. So we dissolved that that organization, and so we decided, after many meetings between us and the mayor, that it would be good to hire someone to do a strategic plan for our new organization we hope to create. We talked about, of course, Main Street, which I think we had years ago here, and some other ideas about an organization that would help promote the community and make a great place, an even better place to live. So we had $5,500 left in our treasury. We contributed that toward hiring a company called Aegis 360, who is owned by Ned Parks. And a couple people in our group had worked with Mr. Parks before and were impressed with his work, felt that he would be a good man to, and his organization would be good to get a collaboration between community members from all different areas of our community to figure out what are the things that we think we need to do in this city to get started, and what are some of the major issues facing our city. So we surveyed the community through emails, of course, and social media, printed copies, and community contacts to try to get a cross-spectrum of all the people in the community that we thought would be good. So we had people from the education, we had businessmen, we had anybody that felt that they wanted to, we had small business owners down in the downtown. We had someone there from Newtown Mall. And so we tried to get people from all around to join and help us in this collaborative effort to come up with some good ideas. Part of the work during this committee was to find out what are the pressing issues. And so Mr. Parks and his group had us divide up, and we had several work sessions, held them out at Kent. And so we had several work sessions, and so we had efforts where groups of people got together and we tried to find out what we felt, each group felt was the most pressing issues and what we needed to address first. Through the committee work, the top 6 areas that we decided were important was parking, safety, the arts and business, new businesses, empty buildings, and activities and events. So along with the strategic plan, we developed what we were hoping, a roadmap for the future. And of course, we had to come up with a name for the organization and some bylaws. So one of the first things that developing a mission and vision statement with a group of people can take some time, and it did. But what we wanted, one thing they said, well, what does this group actually want to do, and how are we going to attack these ideas that we've come up with? So a quick delivery of an elevator speech, which is something you could tell somebody in a minute about that would describe our organization, is we're an organization in partnership with the city to drive projects to enhance our community. And after a lot of work, we got together some ideas and goals for the trustees or the members of the board and job descriptions. With all that work done, we then met and worked quite a while on a mission statement and decided that we would call ourselves MPACT, New Philadelphia, Advancing the Community Together for the Good of All. And our vision is using collaboration, communication, and innovation to foster a vibrant community that's welcoming to citizens, businesses, and visitors. So, our accomplishments so far, we've met with businesses. A couple members of our group met with some new businesses. A couple of them are going into the Newtown Ball, and I think there was another business startup. And a couple members helped guide them, mentored these people, helped them with finding resources and advice about structure and finances. And those are a couple of businesses were in Newtown. One of the next initiatives, and I presented that earlier this year, was DORA, which when we talked to other communities and some of our research found that it was one of the essential cogs in the wheel to get things going in your city and to enhance events and downtown events. Parking and safety was a couple of the big issues. Almost every time we got together, there was a lot of talk about parking. We have a parking committee. Mr. Whittingham's been working on that, and he's working with commissioners, owners of parking lots that could use after hours and weekends. It's a primary concern that we hear quite often with people that are coming to the business district in the downtown area. And we need to find an affordable solution for that, so we have a committee that's already started working on that. I've got one ahead. Future plans. We intend to have a meeting at one of our, probably at Alley Cat sometime in the future to get all the businesses that want to come and owners to find out what they feel are the most important issues, how we can help address them, and how we can help people thrive in their businesses. So we're planning that probably next month, and we have an ongoing collaboration with several businesses already. We have meetings monthly. In conclusion, we need more people to volunteer for some of the activities we want to do. So we're going to be working hard on getting volunteers. We already have some events lined up. We have we had art. We supported Art on the Alley. We helped with the flower planting this year. We've already got some community concerts lined up. We're working with Chet Byers for the Music on the Square events. We have we helped with the Easter egg hunt. We're going to be working I know Deb's working hard on the sidewalk sales and some activities surrounding that, which I think is going to be collaboration with Music on the Square. Some of the things that we've done so far, we're going to keep moving forward. We have a board established. We're just now filing for articles of incorporation. We intend to get a 501c3 designation so that we can be a not-for-profit that can raise money and get donations from some of the businesses in the community so we can move forward with a lot of these projects. I would urge any of the members of this council or the administration that want to come to our meetings, you're welcome to come. We would love to have a council member serve on our board. We have now 7 board members, and we can have up to 9, so I'd be happy to entertain anyone that wants to come and participate. And that concludes my presentation. Do I have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Alonso.
What time and do you guys have?
We have our meetings predominantly at 8 o'clock on Wednesdays, and it's
In the-
usually the
in the
first
evenings?
Wednesday of the month. Yeah.
And where are they held? Where are they
They've
held?
been held here. You know, we've had all our
Right.
meetings here as long as
Is
Mayor
there
Dave
notice?
lets us way.
Is there notice, I mean, before we can,
Yes,
on
I can,
Facebook or-
I'll gladly put you on the email list, so that you're all aware of when these meetings are. We have some really frank discussions. We have a lot of the different committees, the leaders give reports on what's going on, what they're working on. And like I said, if anybody ever would like to be a full-time member and join the board, we'd love it. We want to work with the city. We want the city to know what we're doing. Our goal is not only to move forward with our designation, but at some point, we're gonna have to get a director. Everyone has jobs, they're busy, we need a full-time director at some point to help keep the ball rolling, guide us, and work throughout the community to find out what the biggest needs are.
Any other questions? Thanks, Jim.
All right, thank you.
Keep up the good work. All right, we'll move on. Service Director, Mr. McAbeer, you're up.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. I want to give an update. If everybody's noticed, the downtown, mostly, well, right today, if you look back here on Allen Lane, right behind City Hall here, we have some new 12-inch water line going in there. Approximately a month ago, we ran down here on First Drive on the southeast side, and that had some old 2-inch galvanized in it. We installed 2-inch plastic in there, only serves, has 4 services on it, it's all brand new. We did put tracer wire in there, so every time we have to trace it out, in the future, we did so. Last month, we was over on First Drive on the southwest side and replaced old 2-inch galvanized with 2-inch plastic, and came in also on Allen Lane on that side, put some new 6-inch wire line in. The reason we're doing that is, as we all know, we're paving that this year. So we want to get all that line in and get it redone prior to us paving. Last thing we want to do is go in there and tear up brand new blacktop. So I just wanted to give an update on what's going on around, just in case anybody asks, what's happening there. Got a local contractor for this project in the back here. We'll probably be up there probably till midweek of next week, weather permitting. So for good weather, they should be out there by Wednesday, hopefully. I just want to give a quick update on that. Also, the CDBG project we have over on College Avenue and 11th Street is out there today. Looks fabulous, if anybody's been out there. The work that's done now is the topsoil is going in. Tomorrow, I was told that the cut between the curb and the road that's there, they will put in the blacktop around that area, and then they just have hydro seeding to do. I know contractually they had 5 weeks. I don't even think this is going to last 3 weeks and be done if they can get the hydro seeder in there. So they've done a great job, and I'm glad to see that happen. Next week, I'm hoping to meet with Wolford Construction for a pre-construction meeting. We're still working out some bugs as far as everybody can make it. So we may not have it, but I will let everybody know if we do have that meeting end of next week, the next council meeting, and let everybody know if we was able to connect yet. And that, again, that's for the Franklin Square Phase 2. I know I've reported on it before, but I just want to make sure everybody's aware that we're trying to get our schedules together. We have not been able to do that. Naturally, Wolford right now is going full bore, so we're just trying to work it out with him to get down here. Also wanted to bring up the H2 Ohio grant. That is we had 2 rounds of funding for it. Just a grant that Superintendent DeVault was able to fill out. It came around, said, hey, you might want to try this. The first round did come through for us. Second round did. What it is can be awarded up to $10,000 for it. If you looked at the recipients of it, some was $4,500, some was $6,500, up to the $10,000. $10,000 was maximum. Have report we was one of the ones that got $10,000. What that goes for is for us to have leak detection equipment to go out and try to find some leaks. Helps us find leaks. Been on leaks before that we've had to excavate from there to the back wall trying to find a leak. What this does is put some ear listen device on, go to a valve, narrow it down the road to say, dig here. So it's very valuable and will help us in the long haul, especially when you're out there and it's 12 degrees out, and it's a little cold at 12 degrees on water, just so everybody knows. So it helps a ton with that. Again, so we was fortunate enough to get that. It's a reimbursed loan. We'll go out and purchase the stuff and be reimbursed for that. Again, happy to receive that. And then I also wanted to say, talk about, Yeah, I talked about that, forget that. That's the end of my report. I want to talk about that water line, but I was thinking of something else. But sorry about that.
Any questions for the search director, Mrs. Ramos?
I just wanted to say College Avenue Northwest does look great. How far are you coming down 11th Street?
What you see right now,
And it's just like, what, half? And it's not, it's just around the corner, right? Okay.
I think you said your goal is to get all the way down over.
Yeah.
absolutely. My goal is, hindsight's always 20/20. I wish I would've went out there right off the rip, but coming in, but I hope that my predecessor someday, like I say, that whole area is eligible to go all the way from, I'll say it again, from Tusk to 12th, and I wanna rip through that whole area all the way to West High Avenue, and I wanna transform that whole neighborhood. Not that the areas it went wasn't well deserving, and they look great where they're at, but my goal is to transform all that. And so what you'll see next year with that is, I'll pave College, because it's done now, so I'll pave College. And then we go the next year, I'm gonna try to go down 11th Street, so what I'll do is, I'll pave 11th in that following. So again, that area, hopefully, you see a revitalization of that area. So, again, you're right, yes, thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. McBrewer.
Thank you.
Safety Director, Mr. Popham.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. An update in the police department. Back several months ago, with the help of then Councilman Dean Holland and the police chief and Captain Rossi, they applied for a grant through the state for body cameras. And they work in conjunction with the new car cameras. Just to let everyone know that we did receive the grant, thanks to Mr. Holland and the chief and Captain Rossi. The cameras have arrived. They're starting to upgrade the car cams to be able to take the information from the body cams, and probably within the next 2 weeks, the body cams should be up and running, if everything goes right. And that's all I have at this point.
Any question, Mr. Popham?
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Auditor, I guess Bethel's not here, but again, we appreciate all the work she's done for the 28-plus years. And like I said last week, we had a nice retirement party for her, and we wish her well in her retirement. I know she has some travel plans, so. Treasury report, Mr. Gerber.
No report, sir.
All right, thank you. Law Director, Mr. Fate.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the things that I've been working on, I've been working very closely with Wendy Moeller. The most recent issue that we addressed was signage for advertising. There were a couple of different options that we had. This is impacted by the First Amendment. For those of you not familiar, I gave a First Amendment presentation a couple of years ago on hate speech, because there was a sign up that said, I think it was F. Biden near one of our schools, and we wanted that to come down. And believe it or not, hate speech is actually protected speech under the First Amendment, and I went into great detail about that. Fortunately, it did come down because it was near a school, and that's why it was inappropriate, but that is protected speech. I used to teach a First Amendment class at Baldwin Wallace. This is something that I really enjoy doing. The way that you generally, under the First Amendment, government can have time, place, and manner regulations. You cannot regulate content. You can regulate time, place, and manner of speech. There's a little more flexibility when it comes to advertising speech, but not much. The flexibility with advertising is that you cannot false advertise. That's kind of a gray area. You cannot have false advertising that the government can enforce against false advertising, and you cannot advertise something that would be illegal. For instance, you could not put up a sign, crack cocaine sold at such and such address, come one, come all. You couldn't do something like that, because that would be advertising something that's illegal, obviously. What I did was, I went with the least restrictive and restricted it exclusively to time, place, and manner exclusions, and that's gonna be part of what's gonna be implemented into our new zoning code. And I think it's a little bit more easier to enforce when you're looking at what size sign you can have, what type of sign you can have, without regards to the messaging. And it still will apply, obviously, you can't, you still can't have, you don't need it to be in our code to say that you can't advertise something illegal or have false advertising for it to be regulated. You don't need that in the code to do that. That's basic First Amendment law, and that's something that I would be enforcing anyway, so. That's what, I just wanted to update folks on that and let you know that that's one of the big things I've been working on recently. If there's any questions?
No questions for the law director? All right, thanks, Marvin. All right, move into our board commission reports. First up, planning commission, Mayor Day.
Planning Commission's next meeting is Tuesday, June 11th at 1 PM here in the council chamber. And we'll get another visit from Wendy Mueller, and she'll give us more of an update on the revisions she's made to the first draft of the new zoning code.
Yeah, if anybody can make those meetings, they are definitely worth your while to attend. All right, move on. Board of Zoning Appeals, Mr. McAbeer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Board of Zoning Appeals will meet, June 11th at 5 PM here in council chambers.
All right. Airport Commission, Mr. Lonzer.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report this evening.
All right. Park Board, Mr. Pace is not here. Health Board, Mr. Simmelink.
No report, Mr. President.
All right. So we want our council committee reports. Finance, Mr. Rippeth.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met tonight here in council chambers at 7 o'clock. We discussed Resolution 8, 2024, authorizing the mayor and the service director to enter into a loan agreement to purchase a VACAL. That legislation was placed on tonight's agenda for our first reading by unanimous vote of the committee. There were no other issues to come before us, so we adjourned at 7:13 this evening.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rippeth. Public Works and Economic Development, Mr. Lonzer.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report this evening.
All right, Safety, Health and Service, Mr. Simmelink.
No report, Mr. President.
All right. Move on to zoning and annexation, Mrs. Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee met tonight to discuss ordinance 19/2024, which changes how we are going to notify for zoning changes. And this is in preparation for the zoning code audit that we're having, and the zoning code for everybody will change in the city. So that's what that was about. We placed that on agenda tonight for first reading.
I think we'll go back to Tom's committee.
Yes.
You have something?
Yeah, the Safety, Health, and Service Committee met tonight, and we have sent council legislation governing use of vehicles in addition to bicycles, prohibition on sidewalks in downtown areas.
Yep, it's on the agenda tonight. All right.
Thanks for prompting me.
I missed a lot of stuff too. Salary, Mr. Crimebill.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report this evening.
All right, special contact, Mr. Walker.
Thank you, President. No report this evening.
All right, the floor is open for visitors' comments. Anyone wishing to address council should rise.
No, that's good.
State their name and address and address all comments to the chair. You will have 5 minutes. Anyone wishing to address council? Yes, come to the podium.
Good evening. Nick Jarvis, address, right? You need?
Yes.
439 Fair Avenue Northwest, and 431 Fair Avenue,
All right.
and 447, and 417. Wanted to thank everybody for your time here tonight. As a person in recovery and someone who also runs a nonprofit for women in recovery, that's going to be opening a location here in New Philly. Also looking at starting a business downtown. So this is how I heard about the Dora, and wanted to take a few minutes just to share my perspective, if you would hear it. However, I'm not afraid of alcohol. All the reasons that I just mentioned, and the people that I work with, is not why I'm here. I'm here because of those addresses that I mentioned, and my siblings who are raising kids here, my young kids that I walk around town with. You probably will spot us, if you haven't already, constantly walking downtown. My opposition to what's been proposed mainly looks at, I'm mainly thinking about events, because we're at all of the downtown events, parades, art on the alley, music on the square, and I believe introducing alcohol freely in an event changes the culture, changes it from something that's family friendly and everybody's included to something where it's a little bit separate. Quite frankly, I don't really care if there's alcohol walking around on a Thursday night like tonight. That doesn't exclude me from anything. It doesn't exclude my family from anything, or my relatives, or the people I work with. But having an event downtown where our whole city is together is something that's very unique to me, and very special to me. I've chosen to call this place home. I'm not from here originally, and a lot of my friends are moving here from other parts around the country and around the world, and they're raising their families here because of what this looks like and feels like as a community. And with the nonprofit that I'm running, our decisions are always about everything we do, it benefits everybody. And I'm not quite sure that this decision does in some ways. So having an event downtown that's strictly about alcohol, great. Make it a craft beer festival, make it about that. But when we start blending the two things together, I think we create an environment where there's a bit of exclusion for some, and it's not a benefit for everybody. So I appreciate your time. Open to any questions now or after, but thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Dean Holland, 335 Springbrook Drive, Southeast, New Philadelphia. Good evening, Mr. President and Mr. Mayor and colleagues. It's been a long time since I've had the opportunity to say that. It kind of feels comfortable.
It's only been 5 months.
Okay. Can I ask for more time?
You can ask, but
Denied.
I would like to speak about the dark day in the judiciary and the court system today, but I'm not going to. I just found out about the pension system and how it impacts elected officials and those who've only been in the Ohio Public Employees Retirement System for a short period of time. I had a friend of mine that contacted me who had been in OPERS for 13 years and got out and went on to another field that OPERS opportunity was not available. And she had worked in the system for 13 years. She began to pull her monies out, and it impacted her Social Security by 66%. She was left with 33% of her Social Security. Once I found out about that, I contacted Social Security, talked with them. I talked with OPERS, and having only been in the system for 8 years,
And no one had ever mentioned that there might be an adverse impact on my Social Security. And I think somehow, Mr. President, there ought to be a way to at least notify new council members as they come on each year that they have this possible impact if they've been paying into Social Security for a number of years. And when you get to be my age, I've been paying in for a number of years. And recognizing that there's going to be an adverse impact, I went to Social Security to discuss it with them and find out how much I was going to be impacted on my monthly payment from Social Security. And then found out there are a number of papers that have to be sent from OPERS to Social Security for them to be able to calculate that. If you've been in the system for less than 30 years and decide that you're going to take your pension, if you begin to draw that out on a monthly basis, you're not as adversely impacted as you would be if you drew it out in lump sum. But if you're on council for just a few years, you're adversely going to be impacted. And I would really recommend to you that you contact whoever does your tax work, contact Social Security and discuss it with them so that you at least can plan on what that adverse impact is going to be. Thank you, Mr. President, for your time.
Great information, Dean. I guess was not aware of that, so something definitely to think about, so thank you. All right, any council comments this evening?
I want to make one.
Yes, Mr. Granville.
We got 4 New Philly student athletes competing at state track meet starting tomorrow. 2:15, our 4x8 of Elliot Brady, Preston Rigger, Alec Adelman, and Marcus Adelman will be competing in the 4x8, and then Preston will be again in the open 800 on Saturday. So I just want to wish all of them good luck, and they'll be down in Dayton, hopefully representing New Philadelphia proudly.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just a brief update on Sam Hitchcock, everybody. Whoa, yes, Mr.
And I forgot something, and I don't have all the information on it, but I heard the rumor that the city of New Philadelphia was named one of the top 3 safest cities in Ohio. I have not yet to see that information, but the police chief mentioned it to me, and but I've not seen anything on that yet, but I just thought I'd bring it up.
Well, let us know if you get back.
Yeah.
Great. But I just want a brief update for Sam Hitchcock. Everybody knows Sam had an accident last Friday. He's doing better, still can't hardly talk. He's able to sit up and to eat, and they got him doing some movements and so forth. So he's got a long way to go, so keep him in your prayers, but he is improving each and every day, so keep Sam in our prayers. And like I said, he city council president for 8 years, and I know he was on city council for years as well.
Another 8 years.
Yeah,
He
so-
served,
Yep,
8
long
years
time.
as, at large,
Yes.
maybe 4 years. I'll have to look at
All right, we went to the legislative agenda. Ms. Courtwright.
Ordinance number 17, 2024, an ordinance authorizing the sale of certain property owned by the city of New Philadelphia, not required for public purposes pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, section 721.15, disposition of property unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for municipal purposes, and declaring an emergency, 3rd reading.
Is there any action taken on this ordinance tonight? Mr. Lonzo,
I move that we pass ordinance 17, 2024 tonight.
do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rippeth. Any discussion by the community, administration, council? Roll call.
Mr. Lonzer.
Yes.
Mr. Rippeth.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Simile?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
All right, ordinance 17, 2024 is passed.
Ordinance number 18, 2024, an ordinance by the Council of the City of New Philadelphia, Ohio, to amend codified ordinance section 373.10, riding on sidewalks to prohibit skateboards and low-speed micromobility devices from being operated in the restricted area and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Is there any action been taken on, any action by council on this ordinance this evening? Hearing none, will be held for a next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Ordinance number 19, 2024, an ordinance by the Council of the City of New Philadelphia, Ohio, to amend section 1151.05A of the New Philadelphia Codified Ordinances to include an exemption clause for zoning notices and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Is there any action taken on this ordinance this evening? Hearing none, will be held for a next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Resolution number 7, 2024, a resolution by the Council of the City of New Philadelphia, Ohio, to authorize and direct the auditor of the City of New Philadelphia to transfer up to $2,299.53 from the Safer Grant 2019 Fund Number 223 to the General Fund Number 101, and up to $8,850.20 from the TV Cable Franchises Fee Fund Number 260 to the General Fund Number 101 as previously appropriated, and declaring an emergency. Second reading.
Is there any action taken by council on this resolution tonight?
Mr. President, I
Yes.
would move that we suspend the rules tonight and try to pass this resolution as it is.
All right, do I have a second to the,
I'll second it.
Mr. Granville, all right? In discussion by administration, council, roll call.
Mr. Rippeth.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mr. Lonzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Simile.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
All right, the rules have been suspended.
I don't think you have enough people to do it, because Mitch is in here and.
On take 6. They all approved it.
No, I mean, he's gotta recuse himself.
Not
Not on this one.
Not on
Not
this
on this one.
No, on the.
We're not voting on it.
Oh, okay.
We're not-
All right, never mind.
Okay. All right, the rules has been suspended for Resolution 7, 2024. I entertain a motion by Mr. Rippeth.
Mr. President, I would move that we pass Resolution 7, 2024.
Do I have a second? All right, Mr. Walker, thank you. In discussion by the community, administration, council, roll call.
Mr. Rippeth.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mr. Lonzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Simile.
Yes.
All right, Resolution 7, 2024 has passed.
Resolution number 8, 2024, a resolution authorizing the mayor and the service director of the City of New Philadelphia, Ohio, to enter into a loan agreement with First Federal Community Bank for the purposes of purchasing a new 2024 Vacol street sweeper and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Is there any action taken by council on this resolution tonight? Hearing none, will be held for our next regularly scheduled council meeting.
That concludes legislation for this evening, Mr.
All right,
President.
thank you, Ms. Courtwright. At this time, we'll take a 5-minute recess and adjourn into executive session. All right. 8:40, we're back to regular session. Is there any unfinished old business before council tonight?
Can everybody leave that sheet on their thing and I'll pick it up?
Any new business
Executive
before
session,
council
probably should not
tonight?
leave here.
Sorry, I made notes on my.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, Mr. Walker, we adjourned at 8:41. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.